Welcome back to Techvisa. Today we're going to be talking about all things skills in demand. It's been a while, but it's good to be back.
Likewise, it has been a while, but I thought it would be good to get final video out before the end of 2024.
Yep, and we do have some more concrete updates from the department. So I feel like, I guess maybe just to draw a bit of a timeline, on the 19th of December 2023, we first heard about the new skills in demand visa. Bit wishy-washy in terms of the information that we got. It wasn't overly clear. In May this year, we heard that the skills in demand visa will be implemented on the 23rd of November 2024. The 23rd of November came and went and nothing. But a couple of days ago, we got a more recent update saying that the skills in demand visa will be implemented by the 7th of December.
Yes, fingers crossed.
Okay. So just to get your initial thoughts there. So we have been given dates in the past, nothing's happened. It looks like we have some more clear information from the department now. In addition to this new date that's been announced, we also have the updated core skills occupation list. So that's been a big step in the right direction, right?
Definitely. So fingers crossed now that the CSO or core skill occupation list, I mean, it's a mouthful, has been implemented to say that it will come into effect on the 7th of December.
So there's a couple of intricacies. I guess this always sort of happens with the department as well, where they make these big announcements, but they haven't actually implemented new legislation. For example, like the reduction of the skill requirement from 2 years down to 1 year.
Correct.
So we know that that's been a big announcement, part of the skills in demand visa, but it's expected to be implemented on the 7th of December, which is in a couple of days' time, but we haven't seen any legislation changes in regards to the reduction in the skills requirement.
Correct. That date was given originally the 23rd of November with the skill reduction for the 482 visa.
Yep.
We thought that was definitely going to be a concrete date, and therefore the advice industry as a whole have been going off that from the department's budget announcement. As of today, the 482 visa program, it requires relevant qualification or degree qualification, and then 2 years of relevant experience.
So the 7th of December is a Saturday. It's in a couple of days' time. What can we expect to wake up to on Monday morning?
Well, the department IMI account is going down for scheduled maintenance this weekend. So when that happens, it most likely means that they will be implementing changes in the back end of the IMI account for us to be able to lodge applications for the 482 nomination and visa, or for any application to the department. So we assume that that's what the changes will be implemented from the back end. There will be an occupation list change. So for those that are familiar with the 482 visa program, when you do the nomination application form, you pick a specific occupation code and then the specific occupation name or classification, and then that derives what's listed on the visa.
And whether it's short-term, medium to long-term, or regional list.
Correct. I mean, the current program as it stands have 3 separate lists. It looks like with the core skilled occupation list, it's one big list. It's got more than over 400 occupations on there. We did a bit of a review as a team, and there's occupations that are added to it, which are unique or new, which has been announced by the department quite some time back to say, look, the government needs to catch up with the current workforce and the needs of Australian businesses, which is great to see. We'll touch on more of that later on. And then there are some occupations that are removed, which the department also flagged because the SOL was for consultation earlier this year.
We know there's been 118 occupations that have been removed from the old list. Some of them expected, some of them a bit more of a surprise, I'd say. So one that really stood out to me was cafe and restaurant manager. Not that we do a whole lot of those, but I know that's quite a popular occupation. Any thoughts from your side in terms of occupations that have been removed?
Yeah, I mean, there's 3 that I've seen from an operational perspective here at Techvisa. Yes, our focus is mainly tech, but we do have clients. We have one of the sort of industry leaders in recruitment for golf clubs across Australia. They're well involved into the sort of the industry and that sport. Greenkeeper got taken off that list. And
that was big.
There is a national shortage from the contact that we work with to be able to source those talent from overseas. There are not many trained locally in Australia. I think conference and event organizer was another one that was a bit of a surprise. I think the other one isn't as of a surprise, but more of the cybersecurity, because I think there was one sort of ICT security specialist that was on the occupation, but now it's replaced with like 5 or 6 different alternative titles. So I think that's a way of proving that the department's catching up.
Yeah, definitely a lot more of a progressive occupation list. So, as you said, we've seen lots of cybersecurity roles. There's even one that's a content creator. So, even acknowledging that content creation, more specifically a marketing content creator, is actually an occupation. So yeah, definitely a step in the right direction there in terms of the updated occupation list for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were a bit surprised that the multimedia specialist occupation remained on the core SOL, because there were previous consultations when they were doing the new ENSCO to put UX UI designers in there separately, because multimedia specialist is pretty dated in terms of the duties that's listed.
Yeah. So I'll be interested to see what the multimedia specialist description says now as well, because they've actually changed a lot of the codes for the corresponding occupations as well. So when we were filtering through the occupations, we did notice that the ANSCO codes were no longer corresponding to the occupations. They've also slightly changed some of the occupation names as well. So I'm interested to go in and see exactly what the descriptions show as well, because I'm sure like multimedia specialists, they would have completely overhauled that occupation, because there was reference to like CD-ROMs and floppy disks and that. So it's which is just completely irrelevant to the technology that we use today.
That's right.
So I'm interested to go back and see what those occupation descriptions look like as well. One thing that stood out to me as well in terms of occupations that have been removed, and just probably in response to technology that we have access to now, copywriters and graphic designers. So the first things that came to mind there was ChatGPT for copywriting and Canva for graphic designers. So when they talk about, technology taking over occupations, that was just a really interesting kind of point there. And then another thing I just want to quickly touch on as well is just to be conscious that there's still 3 streams for the skills and demand visa. So you have the specialist skills pathway, the core skills pathway, and then the essential skills / labor agreement pathway as well. So we haven't heard much about that. So we can obviously give you guys updates accordingly as soon as we get more information across our desks. But it's just important to know that yes, we have a core skill occupation list for the core skill pathway. We still have that specialist skills pathway. So if you do earn over $135,000, there is no occupation list. It's just a matter of putting together a business case to show that that occupation is needed in the business, and it should be a relatively streamlined process.
Correct. The department did say for everyone that goes onto the skills and demand visa, we'll have a pathway towards permanent residence. So it'll be good or interesting to see how that would look in the future. I mean, similarly to when the department first introduced the regional 494 visa program, they didn't introduce the permanent residency program for like 2 years later. Fingers crossed that's not going to be the case for the 482, because it still correlates with the 186, and they've made mention that the core skilled occupation is also translates to the 186 occupation as well. Applications already lodged with the department pending a decision should not be impacted by the occupation list change. We have some, urgent ones that we got to get in maybe before the end of this week that might no longer be on the core skilled occupation list coming Saturday, the 7th of December.
And also important to note as well, I mentioned earlier that some of the names have been slightly changed as well. So double check the new occupation list. Just if you don't see the exact occupation that you used to seeing on one of the previous occupation lists, go have a look. You might find something relatively similar that fits into that same job description. And in terms of the National Innovation Visa, it's something that we haven't really heard much about. We're hoping for some updates soon. Just in regards to anyone that's looking to lodge an expression of interest now, what's the deal?
So from the 29th, which was last Friday, I believe, the Department of Home Affairs have closed the existing EOI process
so for the
global talent independent sort of stream. The department website is quite vague. It doesn't really say. It just says, you can still lodge a visa. We've never done one where we haven't received an invitation and try to push forward with a visa application. Because on the first page of the global talent visa, it normally asks us for an invitation identifier previously. So we're not sure how that's going to work. If you have an EOI pending with the department, assuming the department will still process those applications. More to be released about that hopefully soon.
So I think that's everything we know right now. We'll be sure to give you guys updates as soon as we receive them, and keep an eye out for any new information across our LinkedIn, YouTube channels. Be sure to subscribe. Until next time, thanks, Em.
Thank you, Zach.